Hey guys, what's up? Pimar3 here. Sorry about the delay that we had on the video before this one. For some reason it was having a lot of trouble rendering, but hopefully it came out without any kinks. It's actually in the process of rendering right now. But welcome back to Let's Play Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. In the last episode, I believe that was the one where we were headed off to scout out the area and we ran into some Daein soldiers. After we learned the war started, and they kind of threw a hissy fit at us, so we kicked our asses. So that's just another day at the Mercenary Fort. It looks like the enemy soldiers have not arrived around here, but the lady that we found afterwards, once the battle was done, appears to be awake now. And her name appears to be Alencia, even though they have not formally introduced her yet. Lord Ike, yeah, you can already tell what's going to happen. She's clearly of some nobility. Do you have some relation to the Crimean royal family? And she refuses to say nothing, but eventually she says that she will place her trust in you. And believe it or not, she is Alencia Radel Crimea, the daughter of the king, which would make her princess. And if her parents are gone, in that case, queen. But that's to be seen thus far. And King Crimea has never made a claim of having any children, but her existence has not been made public. To, obviously, yeah, for that exact reason, to avoid turmoil. So she was born after her uncle, Lord Renning, who was named the successor to the throne. So they didn't mention her to avoid the blood feud that could happen. So her father and mother are both dead. They fell at the hand of Ashnard, which is the king of Daein, who's leading obviously the Daein forces. As for Renning, he is still battling the Daein army. At least that's what is believed to be the case at this point in the story. So she left the castle in order to seek refuge in the kingdom of Gallia, believing that King Knigas would grant her safety, because they've always had a pretty good relation between the king and Knigas. But they were discovered by Daein troops and that she lost her escort. So Knigas is aware of her existence as well as all the other royals of each nation, so it was the general public who was not informed of that. So she asks for our help in order to take her into Gallia. So we have a little bit of discussion between Titania and Ike, but it's really not incredibly important. It mentions that Titania at one point was in the Crimean royal army, which would explain why she is a pre-promote and why she's so much higher leveled compared to everybody else, with the exception of Shinnen, which I don't believe he was ever in the royal army. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that would be like that anyway. But Titania does agree that she does look very similar to her parents, which of course would make sense. But we've got other matters to attend to, because we got trouble. The Daein soldiers are here, and they're probably not happy about me kind of wiping out that other unit. But you know what, I guess we'll have to just put them in their place as well. And they're also saying, turn over Princess Crimea and leave this area immediately, comply now or we will attack. So you have to decide, and whether this confirms her identity or not, it's clearly, whether it's true or false, the Daein soldiers believe it's true. So you've got two sides to the story. Should we deliver the princess to Daein and they will potentially leave us alone and we'll gain, you know, somewhat of an ally, since we're mercenaries. We're not Crimean soldiers, we're more so mercenaries. However, on the other side of the coin, you've got Oh right, I guess this is the point where they mentioned also in Resort to Gallia, and you'll see more on this later, Shinnen in particular is very much against going there because he doesn't want to go to Beast Country. And Godfrey just... he's like, yeah, whatever, I'm too busy distracted by her good looks. And then, of course, there's also the point that if we give the princess over, we're essentially giving her permission to kill her. Boyd, of course. For once, Boyd's actually right in favor of helping her, because that's what the good guys are supposed to do. And Breeze also makes a good point. Whether she's princess or not, refusing to aid someone in need is not something that you should do. And Titania says we help her and take her to Gallia. So the only choice would be, of course, escorting her to Gallia by helping her. And the choice has been taken out of it. And to be perfectly honest, even if they did turn her over, and for anybody that's played any game or read any story, they probably would have attacked us anyway. So, I mean, not really much of a choice. Yeah, don't hear a thing. Complete silence in all four directions, which means, of course, that the soldiers aren't waiting for an answer, they already decided to attack. Yep, they had no intention of keeping their side. Makes sense. So let's deal with them the best way we know how. To beat the heck out of them. So Greil's gonna hold the rear entrance. We've actually got full control over all the units that we've seen thus far. Well, with the exception of Greil. So they'll continue the plan attacked, but they don't want to bring her back to their superiors uninjured. So it is slaying all but the princess from the other side. And we are thrust into battle once again. Now, like I said, all your units are required, and we've actually gone through all these, so there's nothing new to go over in bios. There's also no characters that are going to show up in this fight either, so we won't be seeing them for that as well. So you did the option to reposition. You'll notice that, most importantly here, your clear ability, instead of routing or sieging, this time is defense. It is 6 turns of defense, which means that you've got to basically hold out. And in order to lose the 6 turns defense, it would be if Ike was defeated, or in this case, the space that Ike's standing on right now, this defense square. If an enemy unit manages to stand on that square, then we lose. I think that's also mentioned in... no, not that. Conditions, I believe it will be there? Yeah, if the enemy sieges location, which they do by standing on it, so... That is the 2 defeat conditions, so... Those are the things that we need to watch out for. Items, this would be a good time to start trading stuff around if you've got the opportunity. You should definitely take it. So, what I would recommend is the characters you're going to use. In my case, I'm going to be using Oscar quite a bit, so I'm going to make sure that Oscar's got weapons that he's able to use. No, not Elixir. So he's got a ranged weapon. I would highly recommend giving the Javelin to him if you can. Godfrey is obviously another choice, but I'd recommend giving it to Oscar. As well as the Steel Lance if you can spare it. So that should be good for Oscar's set. Soren, unfortunately, all he's going to have right now is the that Wind Tome. You're not going to get any other spells for the time being, so he's kind of just stuck with that. Reese is going to be stuck with the Heal Staff. Boyd, if you're using him, you can obviously trade some stuff around. I don't think he's going to need the Steel Axe, but let's go ahead and swap it over just in case. Godfrey, I'm going to leave him with those. Like I said, if you want to give him the Javelin, it's fine. Keep in mind, his speed's pretty low, though, because he's more of a tank unit than, you know, somebody that's going to be attacking twice in one round. As for Shinnen, he's going to be stuck with the Iron and Steel Bow, which is fine, because he's a Class 2 unit. He should be perfectly safe. Same thing with Titania. Keep in mind that I did trade the Lance over, that since she is a Paladin, she's actually able to wield the Lances just as well as she is the Axes. I'd recommend keeping the Lances for a better unit, like Oscar, and just have her kind of be cannon fodder, you know, just unequip her weapon and have the enemies target her. And as for Ike, he's got Regal Sword, Steel Sword, and Iron Sword, which we picked up the Regal Sword last episode, I believe, which is really good for cavalry units and also armored units, so it's actually a very powerful sword, and only Ike can use this one anyway, so it's definitely sticking with him. How much weapon usage do we have left on these? Okay, they're pretty high up there, so even then, I'm going to go ahead and switch the Iron Lance over here just in case. I don't think it's going to be an issue. This is also a time, if you want to, you can use your Speed Wing, if you prefer. Let's just take a look at the speed on our units. Ike is at 12, of the ones I'm using, that is. Soren's at 8, Oscar's at 9. I might actually give it to Oscar right now. Normally, I would highly recommend saving these for a later point in the game, but I would like him to go twice in one round, particularly on this map. So, actually, I think I'm going to hold off on it and just see how it goes. If I lose this and have to re-record, which hopefully that's not the case, but the last time I did this LP, this was the first one I had to re-record, because I think somebody died. But if I do end up losing and have to re-record, then I will make that decision. But for now, I think we're alright. As for repositioning, there are two spots you're going to want to block off. You've got this first one right here, and the second side right here. Now, the second one over here on the left-hand side of the map isn't overly important. Once you get these two guys out of the way and you just kind of block it off with two people standing here, it's pretty much golden. The bulk of your enemy units are obviously going to come from the south end, so that's where you're going to want to have most of your units. So I would highly recommend having Gautry and Oscar over there, as well as any ranged attackers you want to use, like, you know, Soren, Shinnon, etc. And then on the other side, focus on the units that you're not going to be training as much, as well as Ike. So that's what I would recommend. If you have to use Titania to get a few kills, then, you know, you've got to do it. But, you know, for the most part, try to avoid it as best you can. But if you have to clear them out of the way, you got to clear them out of the way. There are some heal hedges if you need them, but I think that should do it. So, let's go ahead and save all that. It's nice to actually have a preparation tutorial where you can actually, you know, make choices as opposed to sometimes where it's, you know, all your units are forced and there's not much to change. So, you know, while this defense spot is important, of course, if we can keep them blocked at this spot and this spot, they're not going to be able to come anywhere close to it. So that's what we're going to try to stick with here. Okay, that's going to leave that unit with 7. 8. Okay, cool. That works. Now, pretty much anywhere you stick Gautry, he's going to be something that none of the soldiers are going to get through, which is why I recommend having him on the south side. But the south side's also a good spot to train the units that you want to. And Ike's not a great one to train in this area, which is why I have him get all the enemies on the left so he can at least get some experience. But the south side's where you're going to get the bulk of your experience, so that's why we're leaving both Soren and Oscar there. Okay, 8 times 2, can he? No, he cannot. Okay. Trying to think of how much health that will leave him. If I use the javelin and go for this guy, what am I looking at? Oh, he's only going to do 1 damage? Okay, well, I'm not that worried about him now. The issue on the south side are going to be the archers that are going after you, and I think there's also a mounted unit that might have a javelin as well. I'm not 100% certain on that. But I would kind of keep Reese like somewhere around here and kind of in the center area, so if you need to heal somebody, then, you know, they're just right there. Unfortunately, on this first turn, they might get a little bit of ground against you. And there's not too much you can do about it, unfortunately. So, I mean, you're going to just kind of have to let them get a little bit of ground and then take them out next turn. So really, the best thing to do on this first turn is set up Titania to where, you know, she can actually get to a good location. And then anybody that passes them, just knock them out with Boyd or Ike or one of your ranged units. Anybody you have available, pretty much. Alright, that looks fine. I want to make sure that Reese isn't in that attacking range, and then we'll wait. That soldier is not going to be able to get up to the defense square. Usually they'll only actually go for the defense square itself if they can reach it. If they can't get it on that turn, the odds are they're probably going to go for attacking one of your units instead. Now right there was a hammer, which is an axe-based weapon, which is rather, it's very inaccurate, especially for an axed weapon. However, it is very good against the armor units. It does a crazy amount of damage against them. That's going to do nothing. If that was going to do 1 against Oscar, it was definitely going to do 0 against him. Now, Oscar is going to be the primary target. I'm fully aware that he will be, just for the sole fact that Gautry's his defense is just so high that the enemies are going to be able to not really do anything to him. And Oscar, while he has good defense, it's not as good as Gotry's. So I fully expect them to target Oscar in favor of him. Yeah, Oscar's definitely going to need healing after this. And the first round, you're probably going to find somebody that's going to be in pretty critical HP after the first round, so that's just going to happen. Right, first things first, let's go ahead and heal you up. That's not going to heal him all the way, but it's going to be pretty close. I was hoping I would be able to manage this a different way. Okay, let's try doing this. I'm going to try to get out these archers as fast as I can. Now, you don't have to kill the boss. The boss is worth more experience, of course, and he will move near the end of the 6 turns, but he's not required to kill. I don't know if he drops... He drops an Ashera icon, which will raise units' luck by 2, but luck's not a stat that your units are usually going to be running out of, so it's not too big of a deal if you don't get it, so... 18, that'll work. I can knock out either one of these, but I want Oscar to get some experience too, so we'll knock out this guy. Those archers are troublesome though, just because since they can attack from range, they might get Reese or they might get Soren. Shannon's probably going to dodge it, but those two are the ones you're going to watch out for. Alright, that's pretty much as blocked off as I'm going to be able to get it, which is fine. So we'll wait right there. He's at pretty high HP, but the Regal Sword should make quick work of that guy. There we go. Now, you definitely don't want those Cavaliers getting inside of the actual Mercenary Fort, because they're going to be able to move much farther, so... Let's go ahead and get rid of him. Alright, and there we go. It's essentially blocked off. That guy's not going to be able to get in, and nobody here is going to be able to get in. So, you've got essentially 2 turns, and if you can get your border set up in 2 turns, you're pretty much golden at that point. Now, there are going to be enemy reinforcements on this left-hand side, but they're pretty minimal. It's usually just like an archer and a soldier or an archer and a fighter. So it's not anything that's going to put you in a serious disadvantage or anything like that. So most of your efforts probably are going to be focused on the south border. And hopefully they'll be able to hold pretty well. This also might be a good time to bring up something that can actually be an issue. We've already talked about critical hits. They can actually be a disadvantage in this fight because, as you see, after an enemy soldier got killed, another one just ran up to take his place and hit Oscar again. So if you keep getting criticals and knocking out the soldiers, you're going to get more experience, of course, because you defeated them rather than just injuring them. But it leaves more soldiers to take their place and damage you, so you can actually be taking 5 damage, and if you've got 20 health and you kill 3 soldiers, and you take 5 damage each time, and when the 4th one comes up, he would kill you. But if you don't kill the first soldier, then he's going to be blocking the way, and his allies won't be able to come and hit you, so... It works both ways. Okay, he's got the Javelin. That's the guy I need to watch out for. Shinnon would be the best player to take him out. So what we're going to do is... heal Oscar. And then we'll knock this soldier out. And get a level up out of it. Very nice. Oh wow, that was his first point in resistance. Huh, how about that? And then we'll knock out the guy with the Javelin. Well, not quite. We're going to get pretty close unless Shinnon gets critical on him. He's going to be at critical HP for sure. That guy's down to 6. We can knock him out. Yeah, 90. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely take out the Cavalier. Technically, they're not called Cavaliers in this game, you know, like you'll have Lance Knight, Sword Knight, whoever, but I'm used to calling them Cavaliers from the older games. You also don't need to be pushing forward like I am right here. It's kind of up to you. There's actually not a lot of enemies down here right now, so I might actually try to take on that boss. I've got a couple turns to do it. For now, that might be I might have to use Regal. Yeah, we'll go with Regal Sword. Well, Regal Sword's guaranteed. I'll go for Regal Sword. It's not a big loss if the Regal Sword breaks early, especially since only Ike can use it, but it's nice to have the bonus against the other two types of enemies that it's good against, so I think we'll leave that as is and let the enemy take their turn. I kind of figured he'd do that. That soldier's probably going to go after Oscar as well. Yep. Ah, those were all the enemy reinforcements were. I was wondering why there were so few down there. Because a bunch of them show up after that. Okay, you're at 7 and you're at 1, so you're both pretty low. Okay, so that's as far as they can go. Okay. In that case, let's knock out you. Place you right here. Okay, yeah, his HP is pretty high. We'll use Soren to get this guy. Well, that wasn't very good. The speed was nice, but still not very good. And Gotry's at full. I'm gonna go ahead and heal Oscar right now, just in case. I don't think Shinnon will get hit very much, and I don't think Gotry's going to hardly take any damage, so we're going to go ahead and try to push forward here as best we can. And I can also just get rid of these archers while I'm up here. Kind of like that. Now, normally most people would say, yeah, don't even bother wasting your time with the pre-promotes, like, you know, what are you doing? It's a complete waste. But it might be worth it for the Ashera icon. If you've got a unit that doesn't do very well in the luck department for level ups, and right now I'm thinking of Soren, he doesn't get very good level ups in luck most of the time. So, I mean, if you want it, you can get it. If you know, want a little bit more of a challenge, of course, this guy's going to be a little bit more difficult than the typical units you're going to fight here, then by all means, go for it. This is definitely one of the first few maps where you can't rush your units straight out in the middle of the battlefield, kind of like the last one, so you do have to play a bit strategic, and your pre-promotes will get you a lot farther out by themselves than would a unit that's not promoted yet. Okay, that's going to do 8 and bring me down to... That bring me down to 10. No, don't do that. There you go. I can get him with the iron sword, right? Yeah, okay. Nice, we got strength into the double digits. That's what I wanted to see primarily. And I don't want to be taking that unnecessary damage from Ike, because I know more reinforcements will probably spawn at the end of the enemy unit's turn, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this guy as well. Keep in mind, while Ike is pretty strong, because they're soldiers, he is going to have that weapon triangle disadvantage, so him getting hit is a very real possibility. Okay, I don't know what this guy's thinking. That was actually a good plan, though, because that means that I don't have to deal with that javelin user. I think this guy had one as well. Shannon probably won't kill him, but he should do a pretty good amount of damage. For an archer, yeah, for an archer against a heavily armored unit like that guy, that's pretty good, actually. Yeah, here comes some more. Okay, as for the left side, we'll just do the same thing. You'll notice we're getting a lot less experience on Ike for his kills. He only got 21 experience there when he was getting like 30 or so beforehand. Alright, that takes care of that. Now let's see here. I honestly... Let's see. He has a resistance of 0, so I might actually have a pretty good shot against him. Let's see, that did 9. This has a might of 9, and he has a strength of 9. That guy had a defense of 9. Well, apparently we're just going to use 9 owner, so that would have been 18, and he would have lost 9, so that would have done 9. He's got 0 resistance. Soren's magic is 8, and wind is 2, so that's going to do 10. 9 to 5. That might actually double him, I don't know. His strength is 10, with a javelin that's 16. So Soren's 2 defense, that would be 14. So he might be in trouble. We can always use Reese to heal as well. So I think we should go for it. Well, can I weaken him? No, I can't weaken him without killing him. I don't want Shinnon to get that killing blow. I want Soren to get it. So the best thing to do would be to knock out anybody that's kind of in the way of getting up here. It's not going to do anything. I'll get Gauthier level though, that's nice. Man, I'm getting kind of some crummy levels on this one. Let's also get rid of the archer. There is a javelin user somewhere in there besides the boss. I don't know which one it is, though. Is there? Well, that guy, but he's not anywhere close. Oh, that's right. He ran up to attack Shinnon, and then Shinnon killed him. That's right. Yep, 10 times 2, that'll do 14. I don't think this guy has any skills. He shouldn't if he's this early in the game. Yeah, okay, we should be able to get this guy. Yeah, that's 100% accuracy. He might miss me entirely. Hopefully he will. Oh, nice. He got a critical. I didn't have to worry about it. What went wrong? Well, several things. And you actually get to see this nice little cutscene. No, not the general. Not at the hands of these scum. I will not allow it. Face me and breathe your last, you wretched scum. Thanks for the share icon, sucker. Go ahead and put Oscar. Yeah, he's at full health right here. I don't think Soren will get attacked up here, but on the off chance he does, 1 HP actually could be the difference, and has been several times when I've been playing this game. That's also weapon level up for Reese. This spot's got nothing. Yeah, there's only 6 units down there. Okay, yeah. There we go. Yeah, I figured he was going to come after me. So now it's just going for any experience you can get, really. Get another. Maybe I'll get one that's better than just 1 point in speed. Yeah, that's much better. You're not going to see him get a lot of defense, so, I mean, you're just going to have to accept that he won't get a lot. He's got a great dodging stat, though, later on. Whenever he classes up, he's got a very good dodge stat. Yeah, this is why I blocked that one section off, so they couldn't get up here and attack anybody who was actually vulnerable. To me, this is the tutorial that's like, if you want to rush for it, you can, but this is like the tutorial thing that's saying, okay, like, figure out which units should be in the front row because they've got high defense and they'll take very little or no damage at all, and which units you need to set up behind you for healing or for ranged attacks or what have you. And this is going to be the last turn, so we'll go ahead and put them back up here. We'll go ahead and get rid of this guy. And we've got 3 units left. Oh, I wonder if we can get them all. I think we might be able to actually get all the units off the map, which would be really cool. Because that's pretty hard to do. I think Shinnon should be able to get one of these soldiers. Oh yeah, he can. Alright, cool, we should be able to get all of them then. I mean, reinforcements will show up on the end of the turn in order to activate the dialogue, but it's going to be cool to see nobody else there. Yeah, that'll work. I should have checked to make sure the guy behind him had a low enough speed where Gotcher could double him, though. This might be the only guy left on the map, thanks to me doing that. Well, no, I should go for a better shot. And it could miss, I don't know. I've missed twice with a 94. Nope, there we go. So, while routing wasn't required, no enemies remain. Job well done. There's no one to actually activate this dialogue. I thought somebody would show up on the screen. Now, this dialogue actually does change. If you did not beat the boss, General Dakova, then it will change a little bit. It'll basically say something like, we're not getting anywhere here. But in this case, it says, General's gone, we're being beaten, we don't stand a chance, retreat. Either way, they'll retreat. Otherwise, it will be Dakova saying, they're lasting a lot better than I expected, we're losing units here, so pull back and retreat. Something along those lines. So yeah, we're definitely enemies of Daein now. And we've got to get the heck out of here. So we got to get packing and get the heck out of Crimea before the Daein soldiers catch up to us again. And of course, you've got your strongest units going out to make sure that you've got a secure road. Reese and Greil are going to go pull essential documents from the library and burn everything else, so of course they won't be able to trace anything. Ike's in charge of the princess, while Mist and Rolf were packing supplies, and I don't remember what Boyd and Oscar were doing, but I'm sure it was important. But either way, they have Alencia go and help Mist, because time will go by faster if you're helping Mist than it will if you're just sitting around waiting for me. Which is probably true. So you get a little bit of backstory for Princess Alencia. Since she wasn't raised as court and wasn't made known public, her life was, you know, kind of like an ordinary housewife at the time. You know, cooked and cleaned and all that. And then she also rode horses, practiced sword fighting, so also does actually have a little bit of combat experience, which is not going to play into this game. And they also show you this tiny little cutscene. This is super short. That's it. That's the entire cutscene. I told you it was super short. So it's a medallion that belonged to Mist's mother, and it's all she has as a memento of sorts. Doesn't know where the light comes from, so it's just kind of a mysterious thing, and it didn't used to start glowing. It only has done so recently. And that will play into the story later on, of course. And here we've got one of the four riders of Daein, which we'll get into those as well later on. Don't shoot the messenger. Yeah, they always do, though. So she calls on somebody named Ina in order to figure out what their next move is. And of course, as she says, the only place left for them to go is south, which would be Gallia. And if she actually gets there, then, you know, it'll be hard for them to get her back. It turns out the General Patrine is actually going herself. So if we know where the princess and her band are headed, there's no need to be subtle. So yeah, she's none too happy with us. And since we're at 34 minutes, this might have been split into a two-parter. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to work that out, but I mean, I know these are going to take longer going through the dialogue. Normally, I don't go through the game this slow, because I'm ignoring all the cutscenes and what have you. But if the story is important to you, then of course you might be watching it. So, it might be longer videos from now on. So, what I might be doing is having, if you want to skip the story for whatever reason, I might have like a little annotation or something at the top, or something will say, click to this point in the timeline in order for you to skip straight to the fight if you're just here to figure out tips and strategies for the fight. But if you're watching the story, I'll be keeping it in, so that's likely what I'll do. I'll probably also mention this again at the start of the next episode for people that are just tuning into this. So, thank you guys for watching. This has been Pitmarthroyd with Let's Play a Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.